but in your heart there's one who's waiting for a chance to make your vision clear. God is love and love is God. God is love, love is God. When loneliness surrounds you on all sides and your tears begin to fall, find the strength that's hidden deep within you. Let your beloved hear the desperate call. God is love and love is God. God is love, love is God. God is love and love is God. God is love, love is God.
Very good.
Yes.
Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vansha Rushibhyo Namo Gurubhyah. This chant is done traditionally at all this Vedanta learning. What it means is salutations to the lineage of gurus. That lineage is important, the unbroken lineage. Like you have the electric connections here, now they are connected somewhere to the grid, and then that is connected to the source of the power, and thus you get the power right here. So the God is the really the Guru. Patanjali therefore defines God like that. Patanjali's God is not one who makes for creation, sustenance. He doesn't deny that, but his system doesn't need that. But he needs Guru, and God is the original Guru for him. Sa purvesham api guru kalena navachhedat. That is a beautiful that aphorism by him, that where from this knowledge springs, it is from God. So God is the original Guru. And then Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Brahma Adi. So from that Brahman there is Brahma. They as it were the first manifestation. Then that became the Guru. Then the other followed, Sanaka, Sanatana and so forth. So they all, the lineage of Gurus until Asmad Gurubhyah, our own Gurus. They are Namo Gurubhyah. So salutations to the Guru. When you want to put on this power, the lights, it is dark, so you go to this switch to put these lights on. You don't run all the way to where the powerhouse is, Don't have to do that. That very line has come here. So that is the lineage of Gurus. So Dakshinamurti is the Guru, God, in the compassionate form. That compassion is to be felt, friends. That Guru doesn't have anything to gain. It is just out of compassion. There is that since we all have the reflection of God in us, we too have the sense of helping others and compassion. One day I was driving, and then I heard somebody honking behind me. A very light honk, but it was all there. And then I didn't pay attention. Then that car stood there by my side, and then the driver lady. Then I pulled down my windows, and then she said, "Look back." And I had just filled the gas but forgot to cap the tank, So it was still open and dangling. That cover was dangling, and she saw that it could be a disaster. So therefore, out of compassion, she did all this. So like that, there is the spirit of compassion in all of us a little bit. Now that lady had absolutely nothing to gain personally by telling this to me. And we must have experienced millions of such incidents. In everybody's life, there are these expressions of compassion that we felt through somebody. But that is all God's compassion reflecting through different human beings. So, but the compassion as Guru is the greatest form of compassion. That to liberate this person fallen into the mires of ignorance and therefore suffering. So let me illumine that. It is because nothing has actually happened. The fellow is suffering unnecessarily just because of ignorance. That very classic example is given that at certain age then you cannot read properly, so you have to put like this, or you get the reading glasses. So these days there are the better versions, but earlier then when you have to read you use those glasses. But otherwise they were cumbersome to keep on your eyes. When normal looking, it was an obstruction. So people would just push it on their forehead and then forget about it. Then when they have to read, they keep on looking for it. Where are my glasses? And can't read, can't do any work because the glasses are missing. So a man therefore called his workplace, "Did I leave the glasses there yesterday?" The person looked, "No sir, I don't find any glass dear." So it is then he was asking, one of his friends came, he said, "I am looking for the glasses, my glasses." "Oh, you have another set of glasses?" "Another set? What do you mean?" "One is right here, one pair is right here." Oh. Do you get the point, friends? Yes or no?
Yes.
Hey, yeah, that is, respond. Yes, so it is right with us. It is right with. Let us have this very strong faith that the source of joy, the God, the source of light. That is how one of the Christmas carol describes that advent of Jesus. That the joy to the world. Have you heard that song?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, joy to the world. That is the source of joy. It is not outside. It is right with us. It is a very, very important point in understanding Vedanta, especially where the so-called monotheistic doctrines, they dominate the minds of people. Where the God is somewhere thought in the heaven. It is, I was giving one lecture in Brown University to our interfaith chaplains group there. So, on Bhagavad Gita. And I was again and again, as it is, that the indwelling reality. So, the Catholic priest, who is the Catholic chaplain there, came to me and said, well, you were again and again saying that God within. We don't emphasize that. He said, well, don't you know that Jesus says right there that the kingdom of heaven is within you? He said, I agree that it is there, only we don't emphasize it. It is the question of emphasis. God is everywhere, inside and outside. In fact, this division of inside and outside, removal of that is the spiritual practice. But emphasizing it being God being inside makes us feel that God is very close to us. Otherwise, there it is very difficult. How to get that? It is God is in the heaven far away, somewhere. No, not far away, right here. One of our wonderful past presidents, he was a great orator, Swami Ranganathananda. He always emphasized Sri Ramakrishna saying that there, Shekhane is ignorance, Ekhane is knowledge. Here, God is here, right at hand, It is. So, this is the idea that the source of happiness is within us. Do you get this point? Where is the source of happiness? Within us. Thank you, friends. Within us. And so to look for it outside, is it going to be fruitful?
No.
No. Very clear, isn't it? Yeah, no-brainer, It is. Now, therefore, Sri Ramakrishna says, God realization is the goal of our life. Because we are all actually looking for joy. And God is joy. So that is why God realization is the goal of our life. And one has to hold this central theme of the teaching of Sri Ramakrishna very dear, very firmly we should hold this. That God realization is the goal, not a goal. The goal. There are no other goals. Now, one minister, he was telling, this was the joke told by Shantarupanandaji. This is such a wonderful center started and nurtured by Asheshanandaji and carried on by Shantarupanandaji, and now my friend Chandrasekharanandaji is continuing that wonderful work here. So, Shantarupanandaji told us that one minister said that, so you see God as you give up this world and then you see that God is there in the heaven. Don't you want to go to heaven? Come on, who want to go to heaven? Raise your hands. Not a single hand was raised there, And the minister was wondering, what happened? Don't you want to go to heaven? Nobody of you. Well, then they responded, congregations responded, eventually yes, but right now, after this sermon, I first want to go to Starbucks or whatever. That is, heaven can wait, Just now, one member was telling, I am going to take you to Starbucks. Because she has lot of money. Starbucks means spending bucks, like that. That is why Starbucks. So anyway, so it is now. This is that the outside, and we have so many other desires. That okay, go to Starbucks, go to this, go to that. God realization can wait. This is how the ignorance plays in our life. That which is the source of joy, and we all want joy. You just now said yes. So now the question is, if you really want joy, will you do something that will bring more misery to you?
No.
No, obviously, And that is what we keep on doing because of ignorance. Because whatever is source of misery, we think of it as the source of joy. And just therefore rush there. Hey, joy is there. Like going to the mirror. Now that nothing is happening to the mirror, there is everything is reflected there. Anything the mirror will reflect without any change in it. So the self is there all the time. That self appears as all this. That is a tantra way of putting. Tantra does not emphasize much on removing of Maya. It removes, it says, see that this is all the Aishwarya. Means just the manifestation of that self. Nothing else is there without any change. That this is all self-manifest. Swami Vivekananda was telling the disciple, that's a very illuminating incident that you can read in the talks with Vivekananda. He was talking to this disciple, and then Premananda was going there. He said, that is Brahman. This is Brahman. This is Brahman. That is the experience of Vivekananda. All these forms actually, what is it? It is Brahman. It is Brahman. And that is the source of joy. Therefore, the goal of life should be that very God realization. It is because that is the source of all that we want. And when something is the goal of your life, all your actions, they now take the form of going there. Transformation comes. In our Belur Mutt, one of my colleagues there, so there is about 300-400 people take meals. So there is a big bell for every whatever meals time, breakfast, lunch, this, that. That bell is dang 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 dang. It is so, and then before that time, everybody has come out. If not everybody, most of them have come out waiting for the bell to go, and then they are walking here, there, everywhere with other friends and colleagues. Now as they hear the bell, he pointed it out to me. Look, everybody's feet will turn. Everybody's direction will, wherever they are there, the direction will change towards the dining hall. So that is how the life will change towards God. This is the matter of our, changing the awareness. The awareness of I and world has to be replaced by the awareness of truth. The erroneous awareness has to be replaced by the awareness of truth. That is all this, what is called spiritual life is that. Just accepting the truth. Instead of holding on with a maddening strength the errors, let us let these erroneous things fall. They are erroneous things. They are not real. It is the dream world. So don't worry. Oh, if I give up this, then what will my parents think? What will my spouse feel? What will happen to my children? All silly. When the dream breaks, what happens to your spouse and your children and your... are they gone? That is that very famous story Sri Ramakrishna told, that a man's son was sick, and then the whole night there was suffering, and then he died during the night, and then naturally the mother was besides herself with grief, crying, and she saw the husband is not crying at all. It is, and she was struck by this fact, asked husband, "Are you not feeling sad? Our only son died just now, and you are not shedding a tear. What is this?" He said, just before I woke up, and then before that I was seeing a dream in which I had become a king, and I had 7 sons. Now when I woke up, that dream broke, and now I don't know for whom to cry, to this one son or those 7 sons which died. Both are equally true, equally true. And when you wake up, all this multiple, diverse, so-called reality goes away. It is not reality. It is the unreality that gets perceived as reality wrongly. That is an erroneous perception that has to change. Otherwise, we see the life, what happens? Patanjali uses this word otherwise very nicely there in the 4th aphorism there, that it is, first he says that you have to control the modifications of your mind. Control them. And if you control them, you will get established in your true nature. If you don't do it, vritti sarupyam itaratra, then all is now getting identified with this, and thus suffer. That is why suffering is the constant thing here. Our Yogatmananda used to tell a joke, when somebody gets married, he said, you get 3 rings. 3 rings? No, there is an engagement ring, we know. There is an engagement ring, there is a wedding ring, and third is suffer ring. So, it is, so you get 3 rings. So the third ring comes with the, so it is like that. Do we want to hold on to that error? We have to learn to drop that. If we want happiness, and we all want it, so do whatever brings happiness. This is how one wonderful MIT psychologist, his name is Steven Pinker. So wonderful books, he has written very nice books. So he says, look at this, again a humor, a big conflict in our life. We think rationally and act irrationally. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let us stop being irrational. At least this much as human beings we can do. Let us be rational as in our thinking, so in our actions. It is we act irrationally. So it is that is why the people we understand, but we don't act according to that understanding. That is why we get cheated. All these credit cards, these are how people get into debts. Not that they don't understand, they understand, but the action goes against their understanding. It happens like that. I also understand that I should not eat this and this and this if I want to remain healthy. But then the actions are different. I tell myself, that okay, from tomorrow I will see. The problem with tomorrow is it never comes. So, this is how the life is. This is what is described here. That look at this. The next verse of this, as I mentioned earlier, the first verse really brings most of the ideas that are in this great hymn. It is the next verse is that बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नमैदं श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये. So this universe, undifferentiated at first, like a sprout within the seed, becoming manifold through Maya's aspects of time and space, that universe he projects by his own desire like a magician or a great yogi. Salutations unto him, Sri Dakshinamurti, in the form of my own teacher. That is the Guru, Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye. That, and see this whole world manifest. It is that like from the seed you see the tree manifesting and again getting into seeds. So this from the source it all manifests. Only difference is in that seed there is a transformation but here there is no transformation at all. From the God this universe comes without anything happening. Nothing has happened. So this I is the same. This is called this, it is. And how it is happening? Swechaya. This is again a terminology of Tantra being used here, that it is Ichha Shakti, God's power of will. We don't have really, we have reflected wills. Therefore, our wills become, manifest or powerful only if they are aligned with the will of God. Otherwise, no. It is, if God wishes, it happens. If I wish, then it happens only if my wish and God's wish are identical. It is not because of my wish anything would happen, by God's wish. So this power of God, that there is, and it is Swechaya. It is a very special thing. That Swechaya means own. There is no other controller there. our wishes are controlled by so many things. It is, there is a nice cake and it controls my wish. It is, there is no my wish as such. That is why our wills, it is, Swami Vivekananda says, therefore free will is an oxymoron. There is nothing like free will for us. It is, the word is wrong. So, but God's will is very different. Through that, this universe happens. You have no explanation for it. It is just you have to say God's will. How this universe came up, there is no explanation for it. It is because the domain of explanation, domain of this causation is in the creation. That is something programmed in the universe. There is no causation link between God and this universe. It doesn't happen with a process that can be rationally told, because rationality comes later. Rationality is a part of manifestation. So, rationality is a weakness in us, Of course, being irrational is still bad. Please don't say that Swami said rationality is weakness, and so let us be irrational. That is still worse. But rationality is weakness because rationality leaves doubts. Something can be explained rationally, but it is not true. The experiment does not, the actual experience goes many times against what you rationally conceive. That is how that famous Galileo statement, that it is what the common understanding, the experience was, if a very weighty thing like say steel ball and a wooden ball, if they are dropped from the heights, which will strike first the ground? An intuitive, rational answer would be, of course, the iron ball, it is heavy, it will hit the ground first. So now the argumentation can go on, but that is how the beginning of the field of experimental science. That, okay, why keep on arguing about it? He made an experiment. Anecdotally, he went to the Tower of Pisa, and then dropped these two balls like that, and they hit the ground at the same time. So rationality leaves doubts. It does not remove all doubts. There are so many things that was thought about rationally, but later on, in the light of new experiments, new experiences, those things needed to be changed. The simple thing, the Einstein's theory of relativity is a great example for that. It was a common understanding that suppose it is myself and Chandrasekharanandaji, we are walking together side by side with the same speed. Then how much will be the relative speed between us? Zero, isn't it? There is no speed, relative speed between us. We are at the same point at a time. Given he is moving, I am also moving, so the relative speed between the two will be the same if we are going in the same direction. Now suppose I am walking at 4 miles an hour towards east, and he is walking 4 miles, same speed, but towards the west. Then how much will be the relative speed between us? It will be double, isn't it? Do you get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be 8 miles. We will be separating from each other 8 miles every hour. And this is everywhere it is like this. No problem. It was discovered in an experiment by Michelson Morley. That is a very famous experiment done for a different reason. But the truth that emerged from it is that this does not work in case of light. Whether you measure the speed in the direction of light or against the direction of light, the speed of light remains the same. Now see, rationality is just getting confused here. We do not find the right answers there. So, therefore, this is our behavior, at least should be rational. If otherwise it is worse than rational, that is not, should not be. So if we see that the source of joy is in one direction, then let us go in that direction, at least should not go opposite to it. So we were discussing what is this Swechaya, God's own willpower. That cannot be explained. There is no logic that works there. And the idea is given there that, and it is a very important point. I was so thrilled when about 50 years ago I read it while reading Swamiji's book, Jnana Yoga. It comes in the chapter Absolute and Manifestation. That Maya Kalpita Desha Kala Kalana Vaichitrya Chitrikritam. This all, we say that we live in time and space, which is actually, to give an analogy, it is saying that the tail is wagging the dog. Does tail wag the dog or dog wags the tail?
Dog wags the tail.
Dog wags the tail, isn't it? But in our misperception, we say that we live in time and space. Time and space is the product of our misperception of multiplicity. How do we see many? Just think about it. There is space between the two. When we see the two, then there is space. Space is created by perception of multiplicity. She is sitting here, he is sitting there. So how we perceive the two different. If suppose there is, we perceive it as one. Whatever we perceive as one, there is no space. Because this you perceive as one, there is no space. If you have the microscope and then you can see multiple, say trillions of cells in it. Each cell has a separation from other. There is a space between cell number 1, cell number 2 and all that. When you see difference, then there is the space. When you see just one, there is no space. So the perception of multiplicity generates the idea of space. Do you get it? It is a somewhat subtle point. We do not live in space and time. We generate this space, and I will come to how we generate time also. The space is a manifestation, a secondary manifestation of the perception of multiplicity. And this multiplicity is constantly changing. It is changing. And this change is the name of time. And time is this change. If there is no change, there is no time. When things change, then there is the time. Do you get it? Yes. See, try to feel it. It is a subtle point, very important subtle point. I am not cracking joke, friends. It is a very important but somewhat involved and subtle point that we must grab. We must understand that we are the creator. Our misperception is creating this delusion of time and space. And again, causation is also the aspect of that time and space. We are creators of it. So now you can understand my statement that when we say we are living in time and space, are we not saying the tail is wagging the dog? It is exactly like that. We create time and space and then say we are living in time and space. No, it is. And this is called Maya. Maya kalpita desha kala kalana. Some attribute it to Kant, that Kant is the one who first said this idea, time, space, causation and all that. But you see, right, Shankaracharya is mentioning it here. Maya kalpita desha kala kalana. Space, desh, kalana, time, desha kal and kalana, the movement. And so, movement means what? Causation. This came from this. There is, you see a sequence there. It is how our brain arranges the facts that creates the idea of causation. Not that the seed gave rise to the plant and the tree. That is how our brain has arranged the facts in that sequence. And therefore we see the seed coming. Long ago in my childhood, there was some movie, one of my uncles had screened some movie by that technique. It was sometimes in 1961 or so. So, and then I saw that movie, very nicely made, of various scenes. That a swimming pool and people swimming there and diving from a top this thing into the pool. So it was very nice. Then next time there were many other people. So I said, please, to my uncle, can you show it again? So many people are there; they will love to see that. So he said, okay. But things were all funny there, that instead of from that top platform, the person diving into the waters, the fellow was coming out of the waters and jumping, as it were, on the top there. It is in that. So why so? Because that is the movie is being the film was put in the wrong direction. So it was, the facts were turning like that. So if our brains are changed a little bit, then the things, the cause-effect relationship will be different. You will see people walking out from their burial grounds. They will, old people would come out limping and maybe holding, and gradually will become younger and younger and go into the womb of some mother. So that will be, that is how. This is very important, because that is how the causation gets formed. We take this causation to be something like absolute. This is the cause of this. No. The cause gets determined as to how you arrange those things in brain, how the things are getting arranged in the brain. It is a function of our brain, how the brain is programmed. So if it is programmed differently, the world and the law of causations and all that will be different for us. It is therefore, actually it is so difficult to fix the causation philosophically. So, Desha Kala Kalana, what changes? This from this, or this from this, or what? Very confusing. There was one philosopher, American philosopher, A.J. Ayer. So, he wrote a very nice treatise as to, I don't know the exact title of it, that about this cause, fixing the responsibility. He said, in this world it is impossible to exactly fix what is cause of what. Because so many things they are acting upon each other, and so what actually caused that, who knows? Actually it will go all to God, that because everything was created by God, that is the problem, and God didn't make this world very consistent. So not very good, it does not real as such. So if God created it, who has the fault? That God, that is the culprit, He made this universe like this. So this is how the Maya, the power of ignorance, or what it is, that is what making us see this Desha Kala Kalana Vaichitra Chitri Kritam. That is how things get into this. We perceive multiplicity, and that multiplicity is in this causation. We forget one important subtle fact, that A becomes the cause of B, means A and B is connected, isn't it? Now together it forms one. That duality is gone. So actually everything in the world is connected, and so if we see it together, it is only one. Like as a chair, this is one. I mean, this also is one, but I am pointing it there. So it is one. But then if you see the legs of the chair, the seat, the back, they become so many. So that is how, if we see one, there is no cause and so forth. And when we see multiple, then always cause, means there is the attempt to connect, attempt to bring to oneness. Unconscious to ourselves, we are always trying to bring things to oneness, because that is the truth, that is the reality. So, Maya Kalpita Desha Kala Kalana Vaichitra Chitri Kritam. But in this whole process, Mayavi means like a magician. Thakur used to say this world is the magician's show. The magician alone is real. There was one anecdote, very nice. One very rich man heard about a very, very famous, skillful magician at the high skills of mesmerism and hypnotism. So he said, can you create this kind of, I had the desire to see certain important battles of the Second World War. Can you create that kind of perception? And the magicians asked for some time. And then after a few months he said, now I can do that. That rich man said, okay, do you have any objection if we film that? So that again and again I will be able to see those scenes of World War. We do that, you record it, and then again afterwards, if you want to hear what Yogatmananda was blabbering, then you can blabbering, so you can hear it again. So it is, so the man thought I will be able to see those things again. The magician said, you can of course do the video of all that, but you won't be successful. And then the show happened. Lot of people came for that show, and he was showing all different battles that took place in the World War, and the show was going on for about 2 hours. He created, everybody saw all these battles there, and everything was getting videographed. Then after that, the video was seen, and that video had only the magician sitting, that's all. Nothing, no war, no battle, nothing was happening. The magician alone was sitting because people were hypnotized, not the camera. The camera caught what is really there. What is really there was this magician. Nothing really was happening. Thakur said, therefore, that this world is the magic. That is what we are seeing. The God, the Self, that alone is the unchanging reality of all this. Do you let us try to feel this, analogy, this example. That camera had only, because camera was free from that getting hypnotized. All the hypnotized people saw that, this war, battle, they were getting excited. Oh, what's going to happen? But nothing was happening actually, only magician was there. So, let us try to grasp this reality, friends. God alone is real, the magician. That is the whole idea in this, that Maya viva vijrimbhayatyapi mahayogi vayasvechaya tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. That it is very important, to know this, that it is this one without second. Calling it one is also not right. And many times especially when I go to these schools, universities and all that to give talks about Vedanta, then this question gets asked very often, that okay, is Hinduism polytheistic or monotheistic? Said it is not polytheistic and it is not also monotheistic. It is the God alone is there, appears as one or many. This is the division that we make, one or many. It is not that it is one in the sense of a number. God is beyond enumeration. If you say one, then 1 plus 1 becomes 2, It is, you cannot stop if you think God is one. It is not one in that sense. Therefore we say non-dual. Non-dual. Because this idea of enumerating numbers, that is also a product of ignorance. That it is, we see multiplicity and our brain arranges that multiple things in a sequence. In a particular way, to the limitations of our brain. This is just a limitation of our brain. That we see 1, 2, 3 like that. And all this, our science depends on that very, very much. We do not have something apart from this. So therefore we get involved in that. But this is just Maya, Desha Kala Kalana, counting, it is, this counting is another way of Maya. Keep on counting. There is no, how do you count? It is, I gave a very nice, somewhat funny example. I had not felt it like that, I had read it in very early childhood. But I tell this joke again and again in this context that while teaching the singular number, plural number, when the teacher asked just to test the knowledge of the children that okay, tell me pant. Pant is singular or plural? And a brilliant child replied, on the upper side it is singular, on the lower side it is plural. So that is how our understanding is so confused. It is, and we are talking about whether God is one or many. You can't tell about it even about the pant. What to speak of God? It is, no, not possible. It is, so that is how we have to learn to transcend this. That is, and how this happens? This happens by the grace. This doesn't happen by our causation. This happens by the grace of the Guru. That is why our scriptures emphasize the need of Guru. That without Guru, the knowledge does not come. If there is Guru, then you will reach. It is in Upanishads and all it is told that Guru is a must. In Mundak Upanishad, tad vijnanartham sa gurumeva abhigachet. To get that knowledge of the Supreme Reality, this sincere aspirant goes to the Guru, has to go to the Guru. Gurum eva abhigachet. Eva is the important word there. He may go to the Guru, may not go to the Guru. Such option is not there. Has to go to the Guru. Gurum eva. That has to go to the Guru. That is the only option there. Shankaracharya in is that very beautiful, concise, that is the speciality of Shankaracharya, very concise, clear, unambiguous presentation, bringing out the spiritual content there. He says, eva. Why this word eva, only word used there, is because Shastrajñopi swatantrena brahma vidyanveshanam na kuryat. That even if somebody is very highly learned, and what happens with that kind of high learning? Big ego, which obstructs the knowledge. That is why when you read Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, what is the first incident there? Important, that is in his second visit actually it happened, crushing the ego of M. That is the why, because with ego knowledge doesn't come. That M had this ego that I have passed so many exams. Very rarely, that thing used to happen then. The people were not getting so learned then. So it is, he was one of those very few, and thus it was ego, and book learning brings lot of ego. So that is to be crushed. One has to humbly approach the Guru. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Now we don't have time for the third verse. It is 1 o'clock. One of our congregation members told me, Swami, your lectures are funny. Yeah, I have to hear such things there. It is, you take 1 or 2 points, then go round and round and round, and 1 hour is gone. So sorry friends. Let us later on read the remaining verses, but we have covered, we have tried to understand the essence. It is no point in just rushing, we can read the whole hymn in 2 minutes. Okay. श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयोः श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे.
So next session will start at 2 o'clock. Do you want to advance it or is it okay? If it is 2 o'clock, after your say prasad, lunch prasad, you can walk in the garden also, come back at 2 o'clock. Right?